own 7. Gray, the quarterback, holds on, makes the turn. Good run by Alan Gray. The senior gets up to about the 18-yard line, very close to a first down. Got some tough ones ahead. Penn State is ahead of them. Mississippi State, then throwing complete to Kraut. Touchdown, the tight end, Bart Kraut, on the fake by Gray. His first pass is a touchdown for Alabama, a 27-yarder to the tight end.
I went from 77 to 81, so my senior year was when Coach Bryant broke Alonzo Stagg's record. So all the games were televised, it was a big deal, and it was a big deal for us. And so in the history, that's kind of dates what time I graduated. I was a sub, I want to say a sub, a backup. I was a backup to Stedman. I wasn't a backup to Walter, but I should have been a backup to Walter. Over 5 years, I was usually like the second or third guy in line. And we beat everybody so bad, we always got to play. So I always got a lot of playing time. Going into my senior year, my wife and I asked my wife, we got engaged. We were going to get married that summer, so that spring, I find out that not only did I have to ask my wife's father for her hand, but I had to ask Coach Bryant if I could get married before my senior year. That was a little shock, and I went in. We had a lot of guys that were married, living in dorms. Come to find out, I went in to ask Coach Bryant. Coach Bryant, he laid the law down. He said, a lot of our seniors are out. He said, we're kind of low on leadership. I want you to postpone your wedding until after the bowl game. That was okay with my mother, but it wasn't okay with my mother-in-law. Anyway, so Shannon and I postponed the wedding, and I always knew that God had a plan for my life, and so that summer, I work out. I was always working out. I went to summer school, went through the training program. Well, we came, and we have to report. We have to run a mile. I hated a mile. Had a young whippersnapper from Gardendale, Alabama, that named Paul Fields, and Paul decided he was another quarterback, wanted to impress Coach Bryant, took off with a 60-second first lap. Well, needless to say, I gassed myself out, and I didn't make my mile time, which meant that I missed fan day. It's my senior year, and I put off my wedding. Coach Bryant, I didn't get to go to fan day. And when I reported the first day, I was the last on the depth chart. The last guy. That means the scholarship players were ahead of me, and so were the walk-on players. So for the whole 2 days, I had to get beat up by the first team defense. And when the first game rolled around, I made the trip, but it was because I was on special teams and I was holding. Kim Cole was the quarterback, Walter played, Paul Fields played. So that was basically my role until we got to about midway through the season. And we played Southern Miss in Birmingham. And in the second half, Coach put me in, and we played well. And we ended up tying and missed a field goal to win the game at the end of the game. And the next week, he let me start. He called me and he said, Alan, I'm going to let you have the game. You're starting. So this was my first start in Alabama. Now, I want you to understand, all these guys up here, they measure their starts in years. I'm measuring my starts in games. And so, I started, and God bless, and we won, and it was my father's birthday. He'd come to every game for 5 years, and I won the ESPN Player of the Game. So that was something special to me, special to the family. So I started the rest of the games, but I would usually play the beginning of the game because Walter had more talent on one hand than I had in my whole body. And so he played, and when Ken Coley was healthy, I want to say when he was healthy, Walter, Ken Coley played because he was from Birmingham, great player. And so anyway, when the season was over and the team had a chance to vote who their captain was, they voted me. Only 6 games. So it's a special thing for me, it's a special thing for our family. But it goes to show for anybody that's out there. And I've got a friend who played at Alabama in the 60s, and he has CTE. So when he spoke at our church, he looked right at me and he said, Alan, he said, you got to go home, you got to write everything down. You need to go ahead and write all this down before you forget it, for your kids or for your grandkids. So I started going back, and I never read an article while I played. I never watched a Coach Bryant show. And so I looked through my mother's scrapbook, and I went back and I started writing down all the things that former players had told me that maybe I helped them whenever they were in school. And so, you know, the message that I think, and it took, I guess I'm 59, so at 59, I finally realized the testimony that I have from my days at the University of Alabama. And I really didn't realize that, David, for the first 20 years after I graduated. But God can use one person to impact a lot of people. And so for anyone out here, if you struggle, if you feel like that life's kind of got you by the tail, just have faith. There's somebody that's walking beside you every day, and He will reward you in due time. So.